What's the point of talking if nobody ever learns?
It's about to make a change. Do it with some soul and a little love. Change. Yeah, it's about to make a change. Do it with some soul and a little love. Change. You can't make a change unless you got the love. Change. Do it with some soul and a little love. Change. You can't make a change unless you got some love. Change. Do it with some soul and a little love. Change. We started from the bottom, talking about the roots. Every time I'm in the booth, I gotta shoot the truth. My art is my art. It ain't no shame for me.
Hi.
That's fire. I love that. I love that. I love that. Hello, hello, hello. Everyone, welcome to the brand new, what's going to be your favorite, which you're not going to be able to live without, the Boondocks Podcast.
Hell yeah.
Yes, I am.
Podcast.
Yes, your favorite. Yes, yes. This podcast is going to be all about Black lives, you know, the social injustices that we have, social justice, politics, and of course, the Boondocks. You know, we can't call it the Boondocks and not talk about the great thing that's the Boondocks. So I am MJ, and I have a panel with me, you know, beautiful beings. And we're going to go ahead and let them get their shout out and introduce themselves as well.
I guess I'll kick it off. My name is Lynxi K. I am a girl, a woman who grew up in the hood, the big hood, right around Avenue D for people from Rochester, New York. That's where all the drugs are. And I always went across the river and attended private school at this ritzy prep Catholic all-girls school. Was kind of raised in this whole notion of code switching, and as Granddad often gets on Riley about, not telling not even Riley, I guess more Huey, not telling white people the truth, play your part, speak how you speak, all this kind of stuff. And my parents were old school Black people from the South. Mom went to segregated school. So, there was the way you act at home and the way you act around white people. And your girl grew up and just said, nah, fuck this. I'm good. I'm not doing this. Last job, went in, interviewed. I told them, listen, I am who I am. I am not code switching for you. I'm not shucking in this office. I'm not jiving. I am what I am. They were like, we're cool with it, girl. Get your ass in here. And spoiler alert, they were not cool with it. So eventually I just quit. And now I'm my own boss, my own CEO out here in the San Francisco Bay Area. I do SEO and I talk a lot of shit on Twitter. And that's
Love
me.
it. Love that. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that we actually... had so much in common. I very much have the same kind of upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's my turn. So I guess I'll share a little bit. Everyone, like I said, my name is MJ. That actually stands for Mary Jane, full moniker, the Mary Jane Maven. I stepped out of living in fear about 4.5 years ago and decided to step into my passion and my purpose. I had to be able to not live in that fear, to be able to identify and define exactly what those things were. And, with the great infinite wisdom of The Alchemist book, please read it. If you have not, definitely add it on, read it again and again. That really helped to change my mindset. Whereas I always thought as an Aries that I'm very outgoing and talkative and positive. I definitely had a mindset. Are you?
I'm an Aries. Yeah.
Oh, that's what it is. Shut up.
And this is the second time today someone mentioned that book to me. But carry on, please. Don't let me.
That's crazy. I have chills. So I always just kind of said, maybe I'm flighty as far as different positions that I had in my career. I had a great career, but I would get bored as shit after about 1.5 years. And the reason why is because that's not where I was supposed to be. So I, like I said, one day went to work and went in late, went in and talked to everybody for about 3-4 hours, wasted time, went back to my desk and started writing my resignation letter and said, I'm not doing this anymore. I have to find my true purpose. My husband's great. My babies are great. My life was great. but it just was something that was empty within me. So I left, and growing up in a similar kind of situation where I was one of maybe 100 Black people in my school of 3,000.
That was a lot
Outgrove
from my
High. In Sacramento. It's on the southernmost part of Sacramento. It's a Friday Night Lights. It's basically, that's where it is. It's farming town. But I definitely, I've always been told, "Oh my God, you don't sound Black." If I'm speaking on the phone, or those great little nuggets that you're given or you're blessed with.
So articulate.
You're so articulate. You're not like the
well
others.
Spoken.
So pretty. Yes. Oh gosh. Oh, it's okay if I date you. You're not the.
You're not one of them.
Yes, and please, now that East Bay, Pittsburgh, where my family's from Jackson, Mississippi. Naturally, but it comes out in me. Don't play. And I'm very much got to the same level where it's like, I had this lady tell me, and I'll quit because I can talk a lot. A counselor in 7th grade told me, "You have 2 strikes against you." I skipped school with a bunch of non-melanated girls, and they all told on me when they got caught. They didn't get in trouble. I got in trouble. So when my mom was there and we were speaking with the counselor, she says, "You already have 2 strikes against you. You're a woman and you're a Black woman." And I'm like, "Are you a counselor? This is 7th grade. What?" And that stuck with me and really gave me this resolute determination. Bitch, Mrs. Nelson, I'm going to prove you wrong. So I've definitely done that. Now I'm a cannabis entrepreneur. We'll find out about that when we learn about each other. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pass the mic over to our other host here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tiara. I am the host over at How Are You Now, as well as here. I have to plug that. Born and raised in Seattle. When it comes to the Boondocks, I like to say that I was born Jasmine and grew up and turned into Huey. I was the product of a mixed marriage. My dad is Black from Louisiana. My mom is white from Canada. And like I said, I was born and raised in Seattle, which, contrary to a popular opinion, has always been not just majority white, but like so white that I didn't meet a Black person that was not a part of my family until I was in the 4th grade. That was when I was bused to the Central District for school, because that's what happened. Anyway, so, being bused to the Central District was a big deal for me because let's just say that I didn't know the amount of racism I had already faced in my life because I didn't understand yet that I was different. And I am, now that I'm older, I am this giant ball of intersectionality because I'm not just a multiracial person who is assigned female at birth. I'm also non-binary. I'm also autistic. And because of what my students and I like to say are my unique superpowers, I have massive amounts of empathy and patience for children who have trauma and children with special needs. Very little for, typically developing kids. But when there's something that was beyond your control, I have so much patience for you. And so I primarily work with students from trauma backgrounds, basically trying to get them from, the school to prison pipeline, get them out of that and get them back into, the belief that they have a future. And like, that's a big part of what I do. And, I think a big part of why I do it is because of everything that I experienced when I was a child before I knew how bad it was. And all of the, therapy, the years of therapy and going to school for a decade, trying to figure out who I wanted to be and why I couldn't feel like I fit in anywhere. It was a culmination of figuring out my sexuality, my gender, my autistic status, all within a year of it. And suddenly everything made sense. And so that's going to come up a lot.
Hey, I love it.
So otherwise, like this whole thing even happened because a show that I watched a little bit of when it first came out, I'll be honest, there wasn't TiVo or Netflix or any of that stuff. Well, there was Netflix, but it was only DVDs at that point. So I just never saw it because I didn't watch live TV. And sometimes I would catch an episode and it would be awesome, but it never connected with me until the pandemic and the death of George Floyd, and watching it from the beginning with this context of today and how much it is exactly what we're going through again 15 years later. So, yeah, it started all out because, my husband and I both got really excited about this show. And then we couldn't find anybody who was already talking about it. And we couldn't believe nobody was talking about it. So I am really, really happy that we are here today, the three of us who have technically, this is the first time we are all talking at the same time. Yes. And I'm really looking forward to what we get to talk about over the next while.
I second that. I will do my Jesse Spano impersonation. I'm so excited. Let's just get there. No, that's fantastic. I am super excited because, like you said, this is very prevalent to today's times, and I would just love if the Boondocks was used as a learning or teaching tool in schools, or look, even as some grown ass adults, if they could just sit down and they gather, some information from it and get a little bit insight.
Absolutely.
And just how it foreshadowed so many things. It's a little spooky, but it's awesome to be able to have that to have this topic of conversation or to have this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, some of the other things that you will be hearing as we go through this show. At this point, all of the episodes that have ever been made are out. We are crossing our fingers that there is going to be a reboot of the series, but right now that's up in the air. But whether or not we are going to, each episode, we're going to talk about an episode of the Boondocks. We will talk about how it made us feel, the things in it in specific, or even the abstract that really touched us about that particular episode. But we're also going to talk about how the plots, the themes, and specific words even that are in episodes, and why they were so important then and why they are still relevant now. Even though it's been 15 years and, a lot of people who were watching this when it first came out are now parents having to deal with the fact that we are where we are, which is right back where we were.
Yeah. I was just a year out of college. My husband and I were just planning our wedding and just getting married. And so it spoke differently to us because it was like, oh, guess what? You're in the real world. Now you can really, see those things that are happening in the workplace and, and trying to buy a house or just whatever it may be. So that really played an important part, I think, in our, mid 20s, right out of college, going into that latter part of that second part of adulthood, I'll say.
Yeah, we're all about the same age. The three of us are all about the same age. So everything is really we grew up in very different environments, but all three of us have so much in common about our experiences as Black women growing up in this country. One of the things that we are planning on featuring in every episode are, stupid white people questions, because we are finding that a lot of the exact same questions are being asked today that were asked then. Literally, our producer, Dean, the lovely husband of mine, he literally went on Twitter and just grabbed a couple at random and was like, hey, here's something they're still asking. So
probably wasn't hard.
No, it was not.
Probably didn't take a lot of foraging to be able to find that out. I just want to pose really quick to you guys. Did you guys ever get the question why do you guys wear lotion?
Oh my gosh.
Why do you put moisture on your hair? Did you guys ever? Because I was just like, because with skin, you have it as well.
There are a lot of things that.
How about this one? Did you cut your hair?
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I watched it.
I grew up I grew up with being accused of always straightening my hair, even because when I was younger, my hair was really curly, and then I went through puberty, and now I have white people hair.
Is it changes? Yeah,
big
changes.
ringlets,
Yes. I mean, I used to get, oh my God, your hair was in braids on Friday. And now Monday it's back to, what did you do? And it's like, I took the braids out. Like, what do you?
Or now that there's some awareness about it, like they approach you in the office like, but can I see it?
Yes. Or they want to be like, oh my God, look at my tracks. So it's like, girl, I need to take you to the beauty supply in the ghetto because your shit right there that you got from Walgreens, wherever, looks horrific. But okay, high five.
All right. So for our inaugural episode, we picked out a special white people question for us.
So, hi, this is Dean.
Ooh,
So should I put on my white guy voice?
Yes, put on your white guy voice.
Put on the southern voice that I've got from Texas. So how can all lives matter be racist? I can talk like that because I am from Texas.
That is true. It's not, it's not making fun of when it's actually here,
So,
right?
I mean,
right.
now, as a white guy coming from a white background and knowing these people, I can understand this question. And so there are people who literally think, and when they kind of, and they're afraid to really interact with black folks. So
They're afraid to understand why, because
there are some people who literally, they don't really care what the answer is. So
at all.
That
like
is,
they're gonna still spew.
So
their rhetoric. Yeah.
That's the question.
So that's probably one of the most what's a good word? Most divisive questions out there. Because if you're not hearing 10 years of people telling you what something is, why is that going to change now? Like, that's my first thought when someone makes that statement. Like, if you haven't heard me yet, why should I invest all of this time in trying to teach you? But just, to start off this conversation. So the basis of this is Black Lives Matter was created because Black lives in particular are targeted and were disproportionately in prisons and killed by the police, and like cities that are majority Black usually have less funding available to them. Like, there are so many things in this country that are set up to lessen the lives of Black people.
Let's go back in history. Black Wall Street.
Exactly. Bombed. That was bombed because it was threatening to white people.
Yeah. I mean, we were threatened by the success, the community that was within Central Park before they decided, well, let's build a Central Park. I mean, back then.
And that's stuff that nobody hears about unless they take the time to research it themselves. I knew about Black Wall Street growing up with a Southern dad, but I knew nothing about Central Park until that hit the news just a few years ago, which was a big deal. Sorry, hold on one second. So Dean just handed me a quote by one of my favorite authors. So I'm just going to read it. The American idea of racial progress is measured by how fast I become white. And that was James Baldwin. One of the reasons why James Baldwin always resonated with me was, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't know this was why, but looking back, I know this is why. James Baldwin was non-binary. They challenged gender norms at a time when they would have easily been killed for it. I mean, you can get killed for it now, but like, had the ear of Martin Luther King, had the ear of these great civil rights activists, but they wouldn't put him in the front because he wore nail polish. And so I understood that to a point. I understood when he would talk about being favored for being white, for acting white, for sounding white. Like, when I started realizing that I was Black, because my experiences growing up, literally, I didn't understand that I was different. So understanding what it meant to be Black and what what my own ancestors' history is. Having to essentially learn it myself because I would hear little bits about it and not understand how that didn't make sense. And so I'd have to go and figure it out. And, the days before internet, discovering Malcolm X was amazing to find that autobiography. Discovering James Baldwin and I Am Not Your Negro was amazing. Like, I couldn't just search civil rights and get, YouTube videos. And so
everything that you need, just a huge wealth of resources and information. We had to go to the library and look through the little, what is that called? The
catalog. Card catalog. Yes.
There you go.
Or the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Oh, but my parents only had 2 of the freaking letters.
I don't think we ever got the whole thing, but we had a lot of those. We had a lot of those.
Yeah.
But that it all comes back down to the central thing of Black lives meaning less to the entire order of this country, and it's not a new thing. And I think that's the thing that a lot of these all lives matter people can't get through their heads. This isn't suddenly something new that cropped up. This is something that's been happening since the first slave was brought to this country. Everything has been designed in this country to put down a Black person, to make them less, to keep them less. That's why Black lives matter. Not because white lives don't matter, but because historically and systemically, Black lives do not matter. And there's proof everywhere. And if you don't see it, you're fucking blind or you are intentional. And that's
either way, it's tragic. And it's very sad for the life that they're going to live, because, we as a community, we as a, ethnicity, as a race, like I said before, we're very resilient people. We know how to find the joy in the little things. I think that's why we laugh the way that we do. We cry the way that we do. We're able to make a way out of no way. It's because that's all that we know. And what I think is scaring people now, where the whole, all lives matter, is because you all are aware that we're receiving the power back that they took away from us. And the power is of knowledge. And as long as we're knowledgeable, I think an educated Black man is probably the scariest thing to America, which it damn well should be. Because when our kings, when our kings really tap into who they come from, the ancestry that they come from and the many powerful things that they were doing centuries and, ago, there's nothing that you can do to stop us. And you have us, you've definitely given us a big, hindrance by financially stripping us down, educationally stripping us down. And like you said, every possible way that you could, you've done that. But look where we are. We keep coming back, music, sports, society, culture, everything is permeated and it's led off of us. And that's what really pisses you guys off. And I'm sorry that it does. But the faster that you understand that we all bleed the same blood, we all have family members that have passed away from cancer or, something else. We're all the same people. Things, can just be a little bit better. I think when the sting of saying that there's white privilege can be eradicated, then that definitely helps, because I don't understand how you get mad at that. Now I heard they want to be called a white blessing. That doesn't make it any better. But yeah, once, as long as they have this, 2-year-old, I'm going to do what I want to do kind of mentality, or, I'm going to stay where I am, it's never going to change. And we are more open. Joyner Lucas, I'm not a racist. Best example ever of what needs to happen. Hear us out. Let's hear you out. And then let's go ahead and connect on being humans. It's that damn simple. It really is. We care about when cops are shot because we understand they have families and children. But not when they're taking our lives so blatantly, and with so much hatred and so much consistency. When you're killing people in their homes sleeping, it's a fucking problem. And we are no longer sad. I'm not going to try to quote. I do quotes. I love that you have quotes as well. And so as soon as you said that, to show you, I have a whole, just say the whole James Baldwin quotes that you can find on Google. Just saved it. But I had a quote on my other podcast this week where I quoted Malcolm X, and basically the gist of it was saying that when people are no longer sad, they become angry. Mm-hmm. And that anger is what, is the catalyst. And we are past sad. We are exhausted and livid and resourceful now. So take it for what it is. I'll say that. Yeah.
And I'll jump in here. I have a lot of strong opinions on this shit. They're not popular opinions, but they're not necessarily like new or unique to me. When I first kind of think about All Lives Matter, and one of my girlfriends who was actually white gave me this metaphor before, and she said, can you imagine like going to a breast cancer gala and then, maybe Angelina Jolie's up there and she gives this grand speech about everything she went through, losing her breast and how that made her feel. And then suddenly some guy stands up on his chair and says, but all cancers matter. Like, what is it? And what I feel like it ties into, y'all, and judge me for it, I don't give a fuck. It's this notion of, and I don't want to sound racist, but I think a lot of white people, and I'm generalizing, but a lot of white people cannot take this notion of we're going to put this Black issue on center stage and we're going to demand that you acknowledge our fucking lives matter. It has to be about you in some way. You have to be the center of the stage in some way. So all lives have to matter. I can get behind that, but me acknowledging, and I always say it, I think a big part of why they will not acknowledge the pure like privilege, even like white privilege, is because they don't want to acknowledge the racism that they are benefiting from in their privilege. Yes. So that's this clutching on to all lives matter. And in terms of like the police brutality and stuff, I got into it with someone on Twitter this week over this because I refer to it as genocide. I always say, this centuries long genocide.
1,000%.
That is what it is. And I wish people would just start saying it. And she's like, well, don't you think that's a little dramatic? By you telling me that's a little dramatic, I think you're a lot of bit racist because that is what this is. It's a genocide. And like you said, it's like a time's up vibe. Now, do we have all the power to change things in this country? No, we don't. But it's exactly what you were saying, like, about being resilient. I feel like this whole world is shifting. You've got a dictatorship basically rolling into the United States. And guess what? A lot of us have been out here learning to survive in a system of oppression. And now it is your turn. And I think that is also why people are trying to clutch onto this privilege. You can try and ride it, but it's not going to do you good anymore. Like, it's just time's up across the board. I'm sorry. I could rant all day, but
girl, I love it. I'm chills once again. I'm loving it all.
And there was something. Sorry, real quick. There was something, Linz, that you said about when. Well, it just made me think of the term ally and how so many people think that they are allies to Black people, but really they're so worried about neutrality and fairness that they essentially become racist themselves. And I'm keeping your term a lot of bit racist, by the way, that's staying in here. But like the difference between true allyship and performative allyship would be understanding why Black Lives Matter is a difference from All Lives Matter.
And then being actionable about it.
And being actionable,
I can definitely say that it was moving and I cried many, many, many nights, of course, because, the loss of Mr. Floyd. But seeing people from, like the hills here in Sacramento, Auburn, California, if you know anything about it, what? They know that there are Black people in the world, but seeing that they were holding a protest there and they were at the police station holding accountable, seeing people stand in front of Black men between them and the cops, like that was powerful. And I work within the cannabis space, and a huge portion of it is making sure that there is equity, inclusivity. And, Lynxi, with you being in San Francisco, they're pretty much leading, Oakland, San Francisco, leading the kind of equity programs. Sacramento is so sad behind, being that we have the government right here. But it is, it's imperative that we share the importance of all of the ways that we've been disenfranchised, all of the ways that we are owed a reparation. I always think of Dave Chappelle when I say that. I don't care if you give us checks. I don't care if you give us 40 acres and a mule. Give us something. And cannabis to me is our way, and it's a shift in the universe, like you said. You know, when all these men start being held and called to the carpet, all these very powerful men from Hollywood and all this started happening, I was like, okay, the universe is like, I'm ready. Here we go. And I'll say this: when the Oscars, when it was like Regina King won, and it was like a lot of, you know, just not so white Oscars, I felt it then. I just felt a slow shift. And it's silly. It may sound silly to people to say that the Oscars is, you know, was a catalyst in it. But it was, you know, it's a larger message. So it, to me, we need to be able to not have a certain group of individuals that don't want to just admit that, you know, unfortunately your history is kind of just doused in not treating others very well. I mean, if you look back at your history in England, you know, a lot of you were sent over here because you were beggars, and they were trying to get rid of you all so that they could live a very high, you know, regal life. And when you guys really, I think, understand the true history of a lot of what your ancestors did, then maybe that privilege or that guilt will break down, and you can be able to start to understand the plight of being a Black American today. Yeah, I mean, I guess we could just talk all day, because I'm like, I go over here and over here and over here. But yeah. So, you know, I hope. Where's our friend that asked that question? The guy from Texas. Did he hear that? Did he
Mr. Producer Man.
He turned it off 20 minutes ago.
Well, there's plenty of them. So.
Yeah, no, he's flying his flag. He's like, oh, bullshit. He's somewhere. No.
Yeah, I don't know. It's. I keep going back to, I can't remember how long ago now has it been since Black Lives Matter, the movement was started?
Right after Michael Brown.
How long ago?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a year.
That was 2013.
Wow, already?
When was Trayvon?
Yeah, Trayvon, because Trayvon would be a grown man. Like,
yeah,
I think he would have just celebrated his 20. Oh my gosh. And the fact that I don't want to say become accustomed to it, but the fact that we can go, whoa, it's been that long already, when it should be like, holy shit.
So yeah,
it's only been that, it's been that many years and nothing has changed.
Right. And at the time of Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown and the endless list of names that came before and came after, like, that wasn't what was it? That wasn't the doorbell we'd been knocking for, you know, hundreds of years at that point. Like, that was the point when Black people stopped just being sad.
Yes.
And I think and when you say, like, that's scary, like, that happened in the middle of Obama. And I think that having the Black president and having Black people starting to go, you know, fuck it, I'm not putting up with this shit anymore. Like, that is what gave us Trump, because you had the apathetic white performative allies who thought that, oh, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter. Trump, haha, he's racist, it doesn't matter.
It was payback.
It was fucking payback for that nigger thinking that he could run the country.
Yeah.
Like,
he's going to put in change. Well, I'm going to show you change.
Right.
That's
exactly.
1000%. Yeah. That's what I thought as I drank a bottle of Grey Goose that evening on election night. Because I
don't remember election night. I think I took some medication and went to bed.
Girl, I started off with the whole shot thing. Like, every time, you know, the person you're going for, you know, it was just a little fun thing. Like, we got this. Then about an hour in, I was like, we don't. And it hurt, because I felt like America was telling us and Black women, we don't give a shit about you.
Yeah.
That's the message that I got.
Yeah. And maybe I'm the only one here. I went to bed. I knew Trump. Well, at least I felt I knew Trump was going to win. My husband is foreign. He is a white man. But he and I had back and forth about it, because he's a data analyst. And he's like, the data says, but the data. I was like, please, you foreign Italian man, do not tell me what Americans are like. I know what Americans are like, and I know how this is going. I went to bed. One of my girlfriends called me first at 2 a.m. and then it was like nonstop calling. People crying, texts like, what is happening? I'm so heartbroken. And I just thought, y'all, it's exactly what you guys were saying before. Like, do you not listen to me when I talk to you about my experiences at work, about my experiences in life? to me, I don't know. I just thought it was obvious, which even today I was tweeting, like, when someone was like, oh, what happens if Biden doesn't win in November?
Right? I saw that.
Do you guys really, am I the only one sitting here like, spoiler alert, he's not going to win. I hope he does with every fiber in my being.
Oh gosh.
I hope he does. But what has been done to check the cheating and the criminal behavior going on in Washington now? Nothing. So why is anything going to stop them from cheating their way into another more than 4 years? Let's be real, in this office. It just,
that's his
it's
goal.
amazing.
That's the whole point of the Trump administration, is to create this. What's the word when the church is a figurehead? Because that's what it's not the real church here. This is just the it's fake Christianity. It's
an opiate of the masses. That's one thing that a quote that I would like to say, but that's kind of what it is. It's like, he is definitely like, if anybody literally goes in, but opens their ballot and then marks that man's name, when this man has blatantly lied to us 1,742,000 times. I mean, our country is in
dead as of today.
We are. What you guys are complaining about. I want to go to the gym. Right. I want to get my hair done. Do you understand why we can't do that? Because your homeboy sat in there and lied to everybody in January. And it's still lying. And it's just like, I'm going to hate to look at my baby's face again, because my children were 4 and 8. And my 4-year-old woke up. We got him up that morning, and I said, I drank a bottle of Grey Goose. So I was in the bed like, oh, yeah, good. And he says, so he looks at me, he says, so did Trump win? And I said, yeah. And the tears and the understanding and the fear that went through a 4-year-old's mind was just, it was heartbreaking. It was terrifying.
Being a teacher the next day was going to school. I spent the entire day with, a lot of students that I worked with I had African immigrant children who were refugees. I work with even more of them now. All of the Black and Mexican and God, I don't know. I seem to work at the schools where we have like 70 different nationalities all at one.
Hey, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a
nice
goal for all schools to be like that.
It was that diverse there. So I didn't know an Armenian until I went to college. And then I realized in high school, this guy that we used to call like hair boy, and we totally thought he was like Mexican. I'm like, oh shit, that's why he's so hairy, because he's Armenian. Some of my best friends ever now, my family, but that's nice to know that it's diverse like that there.
It's almost forced diversity. I hate to say it that way. I still live in a very white city and a very white neighborhood of that city, and I work at my neighborhood school. But my school that I work at is also, it's called the Bilingual Orientation Center. So essentially, every non-English dominant speaking child that comes in through my school district comes in through my school.
Wow. Okay.
So we see a lot of refugee children, a lot of Asian children, a lot of different parts of Africa, a lot of Hispanic, and especially lately more Central and Southern American. So we are.
I want to ask you a question really quickly. Now, do you see a lot? Do you know? Do you guys use what are they called? ID, like the learning. It's like a contract that will like travel with them all the way through school.
Do you mean IEP? The IEP for special ed, yeah.
Yeah. So with these students that are coming in that are, maybe kind of more ESL or,
yeah, these would be we call them English language learners because these are kids who don't know any English. Yeah. Okay. Like they come to us maybe not even knowing how to read and write in their own language because they've been refugees for so long or they've been moved around different places. But yeah, IEPs are for special ed. I work in special ed. I work with kids with emotional and behavior disorders. That would be the technical term for when I said kids from trauma. It's all those things that happen when you are a victim at a very young age and you're never taught how to deal with that. Like that's what I work with.
And do you find IEPs are kind of like just a stamp like on their foreheads, and it just kind of limits them
No.
throughout their time? Or do you think that it definitely helps
It
a lot of the
depends.
children?
It depends. It really
Okay.
does. Personally, I don't think that more services is ever bad, but there are definitely schools that will use IEPs to keep kids like quiet and hidden away. One of the reasons, or one of the things I always say is I work for my district despite my district. I'm actually, with the pandemic, I'm actually trying to completely have my kids in inclusion, which is not done for this program. But, you know, by just giving them hopefully extra support but also still be able to do all of the online learning and stuff. So I don't know, this pandemic has really changed the way I have to do my job, because so much of my job is that in-person connection that I make with these kids. Because, you know, I work with kids who are suicidal, who are homicidal, who are off their meds, or, you know, need meds and have never been checked. And, you know, like there's all of these different things that we have to go through.
And you feel such a void for them in so many ways.
Yeah.
Like, so being able to have that face-to-face contact, I know, is imperative. And I will say Newsom, I call him Newbie because he's so cute, our governor, he just started, like, he just implemented where, like, kids with IEPs and those, they need to start, like, they need to do something to get them back in school, or at least, you know, face-to-face.
That's a whole nother story here. I don't have a whole lot of faith in my district when it comes to special ed. Again, I work despite my district, not for my district. I actually accidentally met the superintendent of schools yesterday.
Accidentally?
I didn't.
That's a story. Accidentally.
We had a little like car parade thing for people to come and pick up school supplies that were donated. And I was there with, you know, my extra stuff for my students that I was sending home. Like, everybody got a backpack with school supplies in it. My students also got a kit with a whole lot of manipulatives and like fidgets and hopefully things to help them, you know, do this. I don't know how. Anyway, but like, I was grumpy about something, I don't remember. And my boss was like, yeah, so, you know, I think your idea for SEL, if there's in person, I think that's probably going to become the plan for SEL. And I'm like looking over, like, you were, oh, okay. So, so in this case, being me, may have helped more than just my kids.
I was going to say, yes.
So, because, you know, when I will mention, because it's going to come up a lot, I live with a lot of anxiety that mostly comes from, and if you know anybody on the spectrum, this is very common. The unknown freaks me out a little bit. Like, I'm really good at staying calm. Emergency situations, I am the one who should be there. Like, I am the one to call 911 and tell them exactly what's happening, while making sure nobody's touching the guy that got hit on the motorcycle, while the car that crossed the street illegally, and like, actual story that happened.
Wow.
But I am not somebody who can spend 5 months not knowing what's going to happen without giving myself a way to feel better. So I essentially made a very thorough plan on how these kids could be serviced in person if need be. And yeah, so it's nice to know that, and all of it, I'm going to say all of this is because of where I work, the school that I work at, the team that I have, the principal that I have, who is amazing and lets me have so much more reign than I probably should. But she knows that I get shit done and I change these kids' lives. And so, but, you know, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't do 90% of what I do, because I wouldn't feel like anybody cared.
Well, I think my kind of opinion on, I think that, you know, those that are on the spectrum are seriously geniuses. I think you all use a larger percent of your brain than the rest of us. And I think that's what causes such anxiety when it comes to the unknown, because you are so analytical and you do plan things out, where the rest of us, we don't have that foresight. Like, we don't, you know, we think of this close, or, you know, this far ahead. So I think that's your superpower. And I think that your students and your school district and probably your principal understands the blessing and the power that they have in you, because you're not somebody that just has an interest and went to school for it, but you've lived it. So you're able, it's more authentic. So I just want to say, like, I think I'm digging you. I love it.
I love all of you. I'm loving this whole thing. I'm so glad I love having this conversation. I don't have a lot of Black people around me.
Right? Oh my gosh.
I've got my principal and a couple of coworkers, and that's the majority of the Black people I know in Seattle.
Well, I think as you grow up and you get older, you keep those certain friends that are close. I'm definitely a guy's girl. I love being around the guys a little bit more. And, there are a group of wives and stuff that I know, but I always feel like we're at an event, like a barbecue, and I'll go over here and talk to them. And then I'm like, well, I'll be right back. And the next thing I know, I'm like, slamming beers and freaking talking shit with the guys. But I do have, very close female friends, and I'm always feeling like I'm looking for a tribe and for my tribe of queens. And, you think that that's going to be brought to you in a way that you're going to see them every day. You're going to talk every day. You're going to go to lunch. You're going to go to dinner. But I'm learning that that's not the case. You will have your tribe of queens that you can use for support and as a sounding board. And they're going to come in many different walks of life and in forms. And I think you two ladies, I think, we're added to what they call it.
Start of a beautiful relationship. I like that.
Yes. No. Yeah. So I could talk to you guys all night. This is what happened the other day when we spoke the first time. Yep. But yeah, Lynxi, do you have anything? I know I love your passion behind your thoughts, and you definitely have something unique because you are married to somebody who's not. I don't. When I say this, I don't mean in a mean way, but he has a little more melanin than others. But completely. How long have you guys been married, if you don't mind me asking?
We've only been married it'll be 2 years in November.
Oh,
and we've been together, I think, for 5, 6.
It all runs together.
Yeah. But
you're still newlyweds.
I guess. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, like some things surprise you, you know what I mean? Like I thought he gets it. He's an immigrant, but there are things, that happen in America where you're like, really, bruh? Oh, we're going to have this fight. I always tell him, I can't wait till you have some Black ass kids. I hope it's a son. I can't wait.
Black ass kids. I was like, Black ass kids. I love that. I love that.
But I do just want to say, going back to our original conversation, and I will reveal to the world, this is the darkest part of my heart, because I'm always one of these spirituality people, vibe high, choose love, trying to find my tribe. Mm-hmm. Like I said, that Alchemist book, you are the second person today who's told me, oh, you need to read this. So I need to read this. I'm all about love and light and choosing that path. But in the darkest part of my heart, the darkest part, and I'm so messed up for saying this, there is a part of me that says, yep, go on, America, have your Trump, vote for him, keep it up, keep choosing him, because all of your privilege, it's about to fall down on you. You're about to bring your own tower in, and you are about to become, and I don't mean this as any disrespect to Black women or Black people, but y'all are about to experience what it's like to be Black for real, because racial identity, yes, we took it and made it our ethnicity because you took that away from us. But we all know it's a construct. So now you are going to learn exactly what it is to be considered less than, to be considered cattle to the slaughter. Like, come on, bring it up, keep it up.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yeah, girl,
I like to say
Aries because I feel the same way.
I like to say we're watching the fall.
Back and be like, all you ones that were like, so what? It was funny that he said grab him by the pussy. I don't care. I voted still. What? Like,
I like to say we're watching the fall of Rome in real time.
Yes.
And we're also able to watch the world's reaction to it at this time. And I am one of the lucky ones who's not so lucky, but because I'm a dual citizen, if Trump is reelected, I'm going to be moving to my sister's in
I'm coming
Canada.
with you. I said Drake didn't pick me up last time.
You don't understand, honey.
Didn't quite work out. I can't hear it yet, so I'm gonna have to get over there by myself.
But I can't take anyone with me. I can't take my husband. I can't take anyone with me. Because he's an American citizen, and American citizens are not being, well, especially not white American citizens right now. Yeah. They're not being allowed in. I have been told explicitly by an immigrant lawyer that any black person in America right now has a case to apply for asylum in Canada, and they are looking and accepting. But anybody else, they don't want them. They don't want them right now. So basically, Canada has said, right?
I might be over
Canada's got its shit. They've got some shit there. Like they're in their Obama years right now, so they need to watch the fuck out. They have a charismatic, attractive man who is very centrist and is going to make the leftist part of their people really pissed off, and the very right people pissed off. So they are about to.
He's working on it. He's doing good.
He's trying. Good at it. He's trying.
Yeah, I think that's
he's a white politician. I can't.
Yeah,
he's doing okay.
Well, look, girl, look. If it happens, look, we might have to. Can we stream?
Shit's gonna be fucking scary either way. I think.
I'm serious. But the thing is, like what Lynxi said, is when things start falling down, what I love about what Black people are doing right now in the past couple of years is we are becoming more knowledgeable and we are becoming more enlightened. I love hearing Black people say that they meditate. I love hearing Black people say that they do yoga, or that they're going vegan, or, that they read The Alchemist, or whatever it may be. They read whatever it is. We're broadening what we've always been indoctrined with, which is, Christian living and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And we're making our own way now. And we're starting to be more self-sufficient. I know that when Corona came, I was like, I'm not ready for a zombie apocalypse. I can't garden. See, I can't shoot anything. Like
I was ready for the zombies. I was not ready for the infection. I was not ready for 6 months in my house. I wanted to I got good shoes. I got jeans that fit. Let's go. I can hike.
Look, but no, I had my husband's frat brothers. One is, just a Marine, just really cute, Latino from down south, and he can do everything. And then we have this big corn-fed white boy that's a homie with us. And I was like, I'm going with either one of you because you guys know how to shoot, you know how to kill. Like, I'll do the cleaning and all that good stuff. But I would be lost. But the fact that I think we're all understanding the urgency of becoming more self-sufficient is only going to help us in that situation. So yes, girl, my fellow Aries thing, y'all just, this couldn't get any better. You did good, producer, sir.
I do my best.
T, what's your sign? What's your birth sign?
I am Aquarius. I'm Aquarius. Yes. Aquarius,
genius of the zodiac.
Yeah. See, I said that.
All that shit, but when I had three of my houses were all Aquarius, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's yeah, okay, I'm eccentric. I don't give two shits what you think about me. Well, I do, but I can easily throw that off.
I'll say that the only God I believe in is Anansi. So
yeah. You guys have read the books or watched American Gods?
Yes, my oldest son, he was like, Mom, you must. So good. So yeah.
So good. And Anansi, the best in it. Earlier, Dean was trying to hand me more stuff but we were talking, so it was good.
When you were talking, MJ, about being angry, and Anansi, one of his statements on there is, angry is good. Angry gets shit done.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with that. Because now that Black people are actually angry and not just sad, but angry and fighting back, and white cities like Portland are in 90-something days of continuous protesting and arrests, and I know white people down there who have been there every single night since George Floyd died. Yeah. And Black people are seeing that white people are finally understanding and finally standing up. And I think that also helps Black people feel like their anger is justified and make them more willing to express their feelings and be open and all that stuff about finding ourselves and finding the magic in life again. I think that's all part of it. We were so sad for so long without not that we didn't know why, but without any possible way of shaking off that ancestral sadness.
And that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Right now, we're
when you have no connection to who you are, how are you supposed to move forward?
Yeah. Yeah. I just had my ancestry done, and it was like such this eye opener of like, okay, so I knew that my dad's side of the family, who are Black, that slaves came through Cuba. So I always assumed that meant that I had some Hispanic, in my background. And I even have a fucking sugar skull on my chest because I grew up with that being actually a little bit of a part of my life. But it turns out that apparently they were only in Cuba for a short period of time. And there is a wing there. There's a whole tree branch over there. But my direct ancestors went from Nigeria to meeting and intermixing with the Choctaw. Which are pretty much all Black now anyway. So,
oh my gosh, I'm so jelly. I really want to have mine done. But my husband refuses to use like an ancestry or whatever.
I understand
because I think they keep your information. But I did find one. It's African. It's ran by a Black woman, and it goes directly to, instead of just saying this is where you kind of match based on our area, like they really go all the way through and will put you to a tribe that's on like the eastern shore of,
nice.
You know what I'm saying? Like that. But it's not cheap. So
that's the other thing. My mom's side of the family actually paid for a bunch of us to do it because, and that's a whole nother story, but there were family members that were lost along the way. I'll just put it that way. And one of them was found when a cousin did this, did 23andMe. And so now me, my mom, my half sister, and my aunt are all doing it because no one's really sure who's actually connected to who now. So,
oh gosh,
I
just learned that a lot of the Nigerians and from the past there that they were, I can't remember the exact term. My husband's little bro in his frat, he's Nigerian, Baba Jide, very Nigerian. But he was telling me how he found out that his family, they were very wealthy, and it was a certain term that they used for back then, and that they had indentured servants. And yeah, he was telling me a lot, and I was telling him, I said, I really want to know. And he's like, based on your features, I think I was like, I don't stop it. I want to know for sure. I think that when you know where you're from and then you're able to identify with like their way of living and everything else, it puts a certain amount of pride in you. I think that our young men, this is why I love Kaepernick, other than the fact that he is cute as hell. But I love that he took his adversity and he turned it into something where he's like, you know what? You guys are mad because I'm being proud of being Black. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make millions of other Black men proud of being Black. And let's see how you can handle that. And so I love how his organization gives, ancestry tests to young men. I think that's so powerful.
All right. So let's wrap this up for today because this is episode 0. We haven't even actually
until next Tuesday.
Right. We haven't even watched and reviewed an episode yet. So our next episode, we are going to look at season 1, episode 1 of the Boondocks, and hopefully we won't have anything terrible in the current news more than what we already are experiencing.
Yes, Lord.
But so I'm really, really excited about this podcast. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think. I think that we're all, like I said before we even started recording, we've got 3 cute Black women here who are ready to just tell you like it is and be our authentic selves and maybe help walk a few people through some stuff that they're working on.
Yes. Hopefully, they piss them off and then bring them out on the other side.
Yeah,
that's what we're definitely trying to do. Now, if I'm not mistaken, was episode 1 regarding the Pied Piper?
I think 2.
2? Okay. Just wanted to make sure. All right.
I might be wrong.
We'll figure this offline.
Yeah, we'll figure this out. I'm just wondering because he came up on my Spotify last night and my husband and I got into a huge discussion because I was like, 12 play is still fire. But we'll talk about that. So, yes. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. So we will talk to you next week, I think.
Yes.
All right. Bye.
Have a blessed week, guys.
The wrong way, but I need you to get the hell up out of here.
We'd like to thank everyone for joining us for our first ever episode. It's been so much fun, and we hope you'll join us as we get into the episodes of this show. We'd like to thank Kirk for our intro, #MakeChange. You can find him on Spotify, iTunes, Tidal, and on Twitter at CAPT_JT Kirk. That's Captain JT Kirk. Love those nerds. Additionally, we want to thank Audio Binger for our outro, Good Times. You can find Audio Binger on freemusicarchive.org and YouTube. Finally, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Discord. You'll find those links under theboondockspod.com/links. See you soon.